Okay, so welcome back to the Micky and Woody show. Positive response last week, Micky, to what we put out there, some good content.
Yeah, got some good feedback. People are saying when's the next one on, so yeah, onwards and upwards. Pretty good for the first one. Probably a few technical hiccups, but new to this one, and enjoyed the first one. And again, two special guests again tonight for the second episode.
Yeah, it is. It's we said at the start that we don't want to become a predominantly rugby league podcast as such. We want to try and get different sporting backgrounds on, and I was really happy that this guy agreed to come in because he's a Wiganer. He's currently fighting for the UFC. He's wrestled in the Commonwealth Games, winning bronze medals, and he's got a very impressive record of 12 wins in his MMA record, and that's Mike Grundy. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks a lot for having me on, lads.
Welcome, Mike. And our second guest, don't really need much introduction, to be honest. Over 400 games for the Cherry and Whites, 4 grand finals and 2 Challenge Cup winners' rings and medals, I think. Captain for over 10 years now, Shawn. Well over 10 years.
It will be, yeah. Something like, I think it was 2006, my first year, something like that.
Yeah, Great Britain, current Great Britain, England, Wigan captain, Shawn O'Loughlin. Welcome on, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Micky. Thanks, Paul.
Welcome on, Shawn. We just mentioned there just before we hit record on this session, you asked Shawn how many grand finals rings he'd won, and he was like dead cool and collective, acting cocky. I can't remember. I think it's about 5 or 6, something like that. just rubbing it in. And me and Micky still have nightmares about the 2013 grand final we played you guys in, and unfortunately that Harrison Hansen missed time tackle, let's just say. And we probably got one of the main reasons behind that type of tackling, Mike Grundy, because you've done a bit of work with Wigan, haven't you?
Sure, I might be for an order.
Mike, I think what we'll do is we'll start on yourself, really, because it's impressive, where you've gone to. I've known you for a number of years, and I've followed your career closely, not just from your UFC, but when you've been wrestling in the Commonwealth and your MMA background, but predominantly living in Wigan. It's a rugby town. So tell us how you ended up getting into your wrestling.
Yeah, it is obviously Wigan. Yeah, it's very, very Wigan, very rugby. Most of my mates did rugby, and everyone out and up to weight we did rugby. But I started wrestling. My dad did wrestling when he was younger. And so a couple of mates went to wrestling, so I asked him could I go. But mainly he really took me because I was quite a shy kid and not too confident really. That's why he took me to wrestling. Just thought bring me out of my shell. So I went down to wrestling, and I was quite a natural coach. Roy Wood, I was with Roy Wood at the time. That's the first place I went to. Roy was, he does a lot of catch wrestling, does stuff like that now. But he was, he's a tough coach. And he said I took to it very well, and I went on from there. Really, that's where I started at Ashford Wrestling Club.
What's the connect? There's a big. Not many people know this, but in Wigan, there's a big wrestling culture, isn't there? And Roy Wood, the snake pit as they call it down there, plays a big relevance in the success of a lot of Wigan wrestlers, and there's a lot of success in there. Paul Stridgen being one of them, who's the strength and conditioning coach now at Wales Rugby Union. He's been at England Rugby Union. He worked at Warrington with myself. But there's a big success of wrestlers come out of Wigan.
Yeah, there has, yeah. There's a couple of clubs in Wigan now, but back in days, I think it all started really from the coal miners, just putting bets on each other on the dinner hour. It was wrestling. That's where it kind of started. The coal miners just was tough people, obviously in the coal mines all day, and on the dinner hour, they put a bit of bet on each other and had a little bit of a wrestle. I think that's where it kind of originated from. The catch wrestling or the Lancashire wrestling is what you call it. But that's where it really started. So Wigan is, in the country, Wigan is the best place to be wrestling, really. And we probably gain the most medals and get the most champions, really. We've had a few good wrestlers from Wigan. From the northwest, really, is the main wrestlers in the country.
I think just on the back of that, obviously, Shawn, the rugby connection. I think wrestling and rugby, they do seem to really go hand in hand, don't they? Because there's a lot of similarities with contact now, certainly as the game's changed. I think, lad, we'll probably touch on it later, your connection with the Wigan Warriors. Certainly I remember 2 or 3 pre-seasons at St Helens, we went down to Roy Woods at least twice a week. A bit old school back then in the day, but Roy, you really just showed us some things that made us efficient on the ground and quick off the ground. Because again, rugby, if you kind of win the ground battle in rugby, you're more than halfway there, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. I think as soon as you get older with another man, you're wrestling, aren't you? You're trying to handle the body and put him on the back and stuff like that. So it's definitely important in rugby. It's a big part of it.
Shawn, do you think that's been a big part on your success the last few years? Like people like Mike and Shawn Wayne and Michael Maguire pushing towards that wrestling in your pre-seasons, and you hear about Wigan renowned for being tough, having tough sessions in the I know you've been whacking each other, but also you can see like with your technique as well. You do win when you play a Wigan. You do win a lot of the collisions in the wrestle. You're very, very good at it.
Yeah, I reckon from as long as I've played, you've always done bits of wrestling around training. But I reckon from when Michael Maguire came in 2010, he took it to another level. He brought a fella over with him from Melbourne, I think it was, who does a lot of stuff over there, and he did about 2 weeks solid with us. And then I think people put a lot more value on it since then. And there's always clubs have always got a tie to some form of wrestler. And as Mike's touched on now, he's done stuff with us in the past, and you mentioned efficiency, and I think it just being able to throw weights around is one thing, but being able to handle a body is something completely different. And if you can master that, as you say, you win in a couple of seconds in a tackle makes a big difference for everybody in a game. And a second a tackle over a match it works out to be a good amount of time.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there, Shawn. I often classify MMA, mixed martial arts, very similar to rugby in the fact that you're training, because in mixed martial arts, you've got to be a good wrestler, you've got to be a good stand-up fighter, whether that's boxing, Thai boxing, good at jiu-jitsu. So there's an element of disciplines there that you've really got to focus on to become, really good at that particular sport. Well, in rugby, you've probably done it yourself in the off season. You've done a load of running and expected to go back to pre-season fit. All of a sudden, you do a wrestle session, and it just gasses you. And for me, in rugby, first of all, you've got to be a good rugby player, but you've got to be a good wrestler. You've got to be a good sprinter. You've got to be a good long distance runner. You've got all different disciplines that you've got to put together. And I feel that wrestling is definitely, if I was coaching now, wrestling is one of my top, would be one of my top drills that I'd be coaching into my players.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you though. It's like when we've been with Mike, you come off the mats and you're piss wet through, you're dripping in sweat, but it's completely different than going on a field and running. It's a lot more related to rugby.
Yeah, I think there's not. Sorry, go on.
No, you go, Mike.
Yeah, I just think there's not a lot of things you can do to mimic wrestling in the gym or anything like that. If you go and do weights or do a circuit, it doesn't really relate to wrestling, you know what I mean? It's just getting on the mat and wrestling and getting that wrestling fitness, really, I think. It's a tough mental battle, wrestling. It's you against another guy who's trying to put you on your back. And, lifting a weight, I think, it's a bit different, obviously, in it. But, there's another guy there in front of you who's going to try and wrestle you and put you on your back, and you can't hide, can you, from that? You can't have a rest from it. If this other guy's putting pressure on, you've got to wrestle back, kind of thing. So I think that's where the fitness side of things come from. But I don't think there's much you can mimic in the gym for a wrestling match or wrestling in the rugby. It's
right, that, because you obviously there is you need your running to get your fitness up and your game Ks in whatever, but you can do all the running all pre-season, but as soon as you get that first game with contact on that wrestler, it's like you think, I've not done a pre-season all year, you're that knackered, aren't you? It's like you play for years, but until you've got that contact on that wrestler and used to it, and first few games, it's like So I think that's where that element of that conditioning side of wrestling as well. I think it's brilliant certainly for rugby players.
And it doesn't always translate. Like some people can be strong as ice in a gym, and you can handle them easy. And on the other hand, there's lads what can't lift much in a gym, but can you put them on the back? You've no chance. It's like, but it's what you need for rugby. You don't need to be able to lift loads of weights. You need to be able to be strong in contact.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Funnily enough, I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other week, and we was actually talking about how well Mike was doing at the moment. And I said, I don't know if you remember, Mike, but I come down with Bob Bezic, probably going back about 7 or 8 years, and me and Mike had a wrestle together, and I've never seen explosive strength like it. Now I'm giving him probably about 4 stone. I was weighing about 16 stone then. And just the power and the strength that Mike had were just unbelievable for his size. And, I often used to say during conditioning sessions when I was working at Lee as the S&C coach, first couple of weeks, they were just trying to get, familiar with how bodies were moving, how you kept your body tight and how you rolled with that body and you tried to use the momentum. I was massive during my rugby days. I did a lot of judo and MMA, so I knew the importance of it. But the battle comes when you get rugby players who say, "What the fuck's this got to do with rugby?" Do you find that you still get that shot?
Yeah, that's your outside backs and your half backs, isn't it, all the time?
Then we don't want to do it.
Yeah, 100%. If you wrestle or judo or anything where you're handling someone else's body weight, 100% makes you better at tackling, or even with the ball, it makes you better at getting in positions where you can find your front or you can play the ball faster. There's definitely a massive carryover. And like I said about Mike Lenny, when we're down there and he jumped on mats with us, he just feels heavier. Like, you've got lads what are probably 20, 30k heavier than him, but I don't know what it is, but the way he holds you, the tightness he has, it's just, it feels about 150 kilograms when he's lying on you.
All them cakes.
Something bit like I've had probably to work hard on because of my size and weight compared to, say, you at Shawn and Woody running at me. I've got to try and be efficient as I can, because if I stand up tall and chest to chest with you men, I ain't going to put you down one-on-one, probably chest up and tall. So I've got to that's where I try and lower my targets a bit and get in close and use, like you say, use that. Try and shift your weight along, because it's about shifting your weight and stuff, isn't it? Like keeping your body as close as you can. Because I got to
important for the smaller guys on the pitch, isn't it? Because the smaller guys who've got to tackle those big lads. A bit of technique will go down well.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely more important for the smaller guys on the pitch as rugby.
I think for me as well, it's when I'm coaching down at the amateur clubs, and I'm coaching at Ashton Burrs at the minute, and I try and get this point across that, with rugby players and your wrestlers and stuff, people just think it's a contact sport, it's just brute strength, and it's not. And wrestling, your judo, rugby league play, it's a thinking man's game. Days have gone where it's just raw strength now that wins you the game. It's the guy who can outsmart the opposition. And I think that, there's an element to that in rugby league. Mickey, you've done it. Rob Burrows all his career, didn't miss many tackles, but they performed this technique which worked for them, and and used the opposition's momentum when they were coming steaming right at them.
What, the speed bump technique? Is that what you learned?
You slow them down and then we come in and finish it off. That's it. But it is definitely a thinking man's game, Mike. It's not. People can say, look at these brutes on the telly, smashing each other's faces in and wrestling. But there's definitely an element of it where you've got to be smart and have a game plan.
Yeah, 100%. I think I still even hear that in MMA. A lot of lads do say, all wrestling is a straight double leg and a sprawl kind of thing. You know what I mean? But there's not. There's a lot of technical attributes from wrestling that definitely transfer over to MMA and things like that as well. But it's a very technical game. It's like a game of chess, really, wrestling. And judo and things like that. Any contact sport, it's like a game of chess. And you've got to be one step ahead.
Just touching on your MMA career there, Mike. first of all, you know, we said, you know, you grew up in Wigan. Wigan's a big cultural town for wrestling. Not many people know that, but, you know, living in Wigan, we understand that. But first of all, wrestling for the Commonwealth. How did you get into the Commonwealth team? What was your journey?
Yeah, so I've done 2 Commonwealth Games. I did India in 2010, where I got 5th in that. So I didn't medal in that. And then I kind of fell out with wrestling a little bit after that. Not because I lost, not because I got 5th or anything. There was just a lot of politics within the sport. And just to get to 2010 Commonwealth Games, it was a big. There was a lot of things I had to do to get there, which I shouldn't have had to do. You know what I mean? But I won't go into any detail on that. But basically, I got to 2010 Commonwealth Games, and then I went to mixed martial arts after that and started my amateur career. But when I heard that 2014 Commonwealth Games was going to be in Glasgow, I felt like I had unfinished business. I knew I could go there and get a medal or get a gold medal. So I come back for the national championships in 2013 and won it. Won gold after having 3 years off of wrestling. I mean, I was still doing MMA and stuff, so I was still having my hand in wrestling. You know, I was still wrestling, but I come back for that and I won the national championships and I qualified to go. You know, and I went to Commonwealth Games and I got a bronze.
What was that experience like, Mike? The Commonwealth Games, because it's when you watch it, you know, it's a really watch program when it comes on telly. It's something I always glue to. You know, I don't watch a lot of athletics and wrestling, but I think when it's a Commonwealth or Olympic, it's all them sports you don't see as much, like your wrestling and stuff and your judo. It's a great watch. What was the feeling like? Is it?
Yeah, but Mickey, you're always watching gymnastics, you. That's what you're watching.
Good. When them, what's it called when they put the legs in there and stuff like it? Synchronized swimming, that wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean the feeling. You know, I mean you get into the village 2 weeks before. You know, you're around athletes like Usain Bolt and you know, all these top athletes. So, you know, it's good, it's a privilege to be there, really. And, you know, like I say, you get out there 2 weeks before and you're in the village and then you know, you compete. It's like obviously a mini Olympics. It's his second biggest games in the world, isn't it? You know, Olympics is the biggest and then Commonwealth Games is the second. So, yeah, to go and get a medal there was massive. You know, it was a goal I've always had. Olympics was the main one, especially because I was on the programme for 2012 Olympics. You know, that's what I grew up wanting to be, is to go to the Olympics and be an Olympic champion and stuff, but it never came off. But, you know, getting the Commonwealth medal was massive for me, really, big part of my career. It changed my life, really.
Brilliant.
I think... Sorry, Mickey. No, sorry, Mickey. Go on, Mickey.
No, go on, you touch on that, because I was going to just touch on something else. It's fine.
No, just going to say, you know, living in Wigan there, Shawn, he probably become a bigger name than you after that Commonwealth, you know, title, getting the bronze medal. It was pretty big news, wasn't it? You know, I think we do well as a small town, really, to produce so many top athletes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was. I think I'd not actually met. I don't think I met Mike at that point, but. When we first started going down to his gym, I already knew quite a bit about him from his career. As you said, with the Commonwealth and that, there was a big buzz around the place when he, as there always is with kind of Olympic stuff, Commonwealth stuff. There's always kind of a big thing with it, and I think the areas like Wigan, they do celebrate kind of. I know rugby and football's predominant, but there is quite a lot of other talent, kind of for the size of the town, have that produced a lot of people what have done well in those sports and performed at pretty top level. So it is always kind of, it's good to see. You always get behind them, but I think the town in general always kind of celebrates the success as well.
Yeah, definitely. You get a lot of support from the Wigan people. Like, you know, the support's great.
Yeah, it's one thing I noticed at my time at Wigan. I think if the Wigan people and certainly the fans, well, obviously I'm alluding to rugby side, if they see that effort there that you're giving 100%, I think they're very supportive, aren't they? You know, they're passionate as well. They're really passionate, and like I said, when they know you're doing your best and trying your best, even if it doesn't always go your way, it's very, you know, so they're always back you in the behind you, aren't they?
Oh yeah, you get a lot of support from them, and even like I've had a lot of support from Wigan Warriors and stuff like that. You know, before my last fight that I was supposed to have in London. You know, they got me there on the pitch at half time and stuff, and introduced me and things like that. You know, Wigan Warriors. You know, they recognise local talent a lot, I think, as well, and support them. I think that's really good as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously you look at the young talent coming through Lockers, don't you? You know, they just keep producing these lads that they almost run the blood to water to play for Wigan, won't they? It's a special. I think it's a special thing to have that in a club, isn't it? You know, that young talent that want to play for Wigan. You know, it's even if it's just that one game that season, it's a massive goal for them, isn't it? Like them young kids, and they come in that fired up, and it's hard. It's a difficult decision then for coach, isn't it? You know, to come in and impress.
Yeah, 100%. I reckon if you're an academy player at Wigan, you see the amount of lads what have progressed and had a crack at it. I think you feel like you've got a genuine opportunity to go on and play first team, which I think for an academy system, you want to have a mint system, and you want it to be good, and you want to produce kids, but they've got to be able to see that they have got a chance of making it in the first team. And I think Wigan has done well in producing kids, but giving them an opportunity to play and letting them have a go at it as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's brilliant to watch, and it's what I think clubs. You know, I know that there's a few other clubs similar, but I think it's what a lot of clubs should be aspiring to. You know, to get homegrown players through, and you know that only will make our game stronger. I think it's brilliant.
I think going back to, you know, we've got 3 Wiganers on here and a Leafer who's sort of part of Wigan, aren't you, Micky? But you know, I think
it's a small town in Wigan, isn't it, Lee? Is that what they say?
Well, you know what they say about Leafers, don't you? They're just Wiganers with their brains blown out. Apparently, that's what they say. but going back to the Wigan connection there, you know, I do generally feel that we do a really good job in producing some top-end athletes. But rugby's a massive saviour for a lot of kids. You know, I grew up watching a very successful Wigan team. You know, but the other element is we do produce some good fighters as well. And I'll go back to, you know, the wrestling side. You know, there's a lot of very successful wrestlers who have come from Wigan, and you know, now branching out into MMA. Do you think it's like a characteristic of the Wigan culture, or do you think it's got a lot to do with King Street, or what?
I think it's King Street. I was just going to say when you were saying that, then I thought it's King Street that's made us all tough, I think.
Your record.
I just thought, what in that street?
Woody's record on King Street, he's known for him too, I think.
49 fights, 49 knockouts, and then I won one.
That was when it was a 12 o'clock kick out, that, wasn't it?
I don't know, I think it's just a tough town, isn't it? You know, coming from coal miners and all that type of stuff, you know, it's just a tough town, isn't it, really, I think, Wigan.
Mike, going away a little bit from your, we'll touch on your UFC debut in a sec, but away from that, you have your own wrestling club now, Wigan Wrestle Club, which you run with your dad. My lad's been down there doing some sessions with his rugby team, Shevington Sharks. It plays a big role in the community for the local rugby lads and for the MMA guys. Yeah,
we're doing well as a wrestling club. You know, we've got, even though wrestling's not too popular in this country, we've probably got close to 90 kids a week coming. You know, we've got 4 separate sessions for the younger ones, and then we've got the older ones in. But we've got about 90, maybe 100 kids coming a week, different kids, you know. So it is popular if it's applied right, you know. So we've got it going, and it's going well. We're probably one of the best clubs in the country right now. We've got a lot of national champions in our teenagers and in our younger kids, so we're doing well. And yeah, we do a lot with the rugby teams, the amateur rugby teams. They come in and they do their extra wrestling sessions, and they love it. You know, my dad takes some, I take some. You know, the coaches who bring them in, they love it.
Yeah, very positive feedback. I've been down watching a few sessions, and it's great to see the young lads getting off their Xboxes and getting stuck into each other and getting a bit of contact. Shawn, is your kids into rugby or any form of sports at the minute?
Yeah, my lad plays down at Oral St James's. and he plays at Wigan Rugby Union as well. But yeah, during this period, he's done my head in on Xbox.
Yeah. I'm glad it's not just my two then, because I was ready to throw him out window, honest.
I've been all right, to be honest, because I've got my lad who's 15. He trains with me every day because we've got the gym. So Jack wrestles and he also fights as well. So I've had him as my training partner.
I've seen you throwing him
away. He's battering me.
And that's the thing is, Mike, is our kids will argue back with us, but your kids are not going to argue back with you. We'll get off your Xbox. But
I don't know. I've seen signs of him now. He's getting big and he's getting good as well.
Well, that's it. I mean, on your Instagram page there, I've seen you wrestling your lad and training with him, and it looks like he's going to be a phenomenal talent. Is it more the wrestling route that he's going to go down, or are you going to try and force him to, well, not force him, but direct him down to the MMA route?
He wants to go more MMA. I mean, he's 15 now. He's done wrestling since he was, he's done wrestling for nearly 10 years now. So it's a long time. He's done it since 4 or 5 years old. But he went to mixed martial arts when he was 10. He started doing a bit of jiu-jitsu, a bit of Thai boxing, a bit of boxing. And he's had a few fights, you know, on that local shows, and he's won them all. He went to the IMAF World Championships last year and got a bronze in the world for mixed martial arts. So he's doing good. He wants to go more MMA route, really.
Just on that, obviously, we're all stuck in at home in this tough time, and you know, it's glad to hear you're all safe and well. What are you? Is obviously you're doing things different. Are you trying to keep ticking over? So, certainly, so Mike, you've got the gym. Do you have a gym at your house as well, or you do you manage to go like into your gym and do your bits? Same with you, Shawn. Have you got? I take it you'll be ticking over with the Wigan from the Wigan conditioning side and stuff. It's a tough time. It's unknown, isn't it? You know, you can do. It's just not the same at home, is it? Trying to train with your weights at home with limited equipment, and if you go to a field on your own, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, we kind of the week before we knew the lockdown was coming in, the club let us kind of go and strip the gym down, so managed to get a walk bike and some weights and
that's good
stuff I can do at home. But I've actually enjoyed like trying to find different stuff to do. You know, like I don't know, like during off season, I tend to I'll go down to CrossFit gyms and do bits of stuff down there. So I've been able to do stuff different than you would normally do at the club. You know, like your normal weights, your normal running. I've tried to do different stuff to keep it a bit interesting, so it's not been as mundane. So I still ticked over what you would normally do, but I've like chucked a few CrossFit sessions in and just kind of ripped them off internet and Instagram people's pages, what they're posting. Like JST, the CrossFit gym near me, they're always putting stuff up. It's just, I think it's that you can go in and do weights and go for a run, but I don't know. There's a bit of a competitive element with like CrossFit, and you can rip in a little bit more, get a sweat on, and I think that's been the biggest thing for me. Mentally, like challenging yourself to do stuff. You get a bit bored sometimes of just doing weights and just sitting on a bike. Just do something different.
You've done your pre-season weights and your weights for a long time, and it just mixes it up a bit, doesn't it? It is a good opportunity to just do something a bit different. Challenge yourself another way, because like I say, I'm certainly not built for 10k runs out and about. I went for a 5k run of the week, and honestly, I come back up, I felt like I've been run over by a bus when I did a 5k, but it's the first time I've run since last September, my last game, and it was like, whoa. So probably stick to it like me more than running.
But you're like me though, Micky. You know, we don't need to do it because we're retired, so we don't need to, but we've still got that mindset of being an athlete. And you know, when Boris came on last Sunday and said, "Oh, you can pick somebody out your household to go and see as long as you keep your social distancing." Well, my person I went and seen was Matty Russell this week, so he's been given some Toronto sessions, and I've been doing these hill sprints with him and these 1k runs with him, trying to get fit, and it's just been an absolute killer. It's just made me realise how much fitness I've lost since I was, since I finished playing rugby. But after a couple of sessions, I've picked up, and I think there's a comeback on, to be honest. I think I've got to offer the service.
What does retirement feel like? Because that's my biggest fear so far. retiring.
Awful.
That competitiveness.
It's horrible, honestly.
Is it?
Yeah. I've had more comebacks than Frank Sinatra, me. But I'm finally done this time. Yeah, it's something. I say I'm sure Shawn will be the same. When you know when your body's telling you it's enough. You do know that time.
It's a scary thought.
I never, too much. I never thought that would come. To be honest, I thought because I've always looked after myself, but like last season, it for me were like you kind of. I say you'll all allude to it where you set your standards and how you want to. You've always applied yourself and play. And when you can't quite do them things, it's still up in there. But when your body can't quite do it the same, it's frustrating when you've been at the top for a long time and you pride yourself on that. Something that I knew it was time, but yeah, I've only been retired for 5 or 6 months for that. The first 4 or 5 games this year and not being involved in training with the lads, I've really found it hard. It was tough.
So the competitiveness, that's what I think will get me. Like, do you miss that competitiveness?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I did a Zoom session with the Lee boys last week, like circuit, a bit of CrossFit stuff, something different from like a bit of AMRAP, as many reps, and I'll just watch it screen. I'm trying to beat them all on screen. I'm like, you're nearly 40-year-old, Micky, just sit back and let them do it. Like you said, that you've got that competitiveness in you, and like it's tough that you've not got something at the end of the week to like a game or a competition fight for you. It's something. It's really tough, and I think that's where sometimes Woody will probably back me up. You're getting a bit of a rut, can't you? Sometimes when you've kind of nothing potentially to.
Yeah.
I know, like you did a bit of boxing.
Yeah. I mean, it takes us on to something I was going to speak about later on during this. But if you look in the news recently, if you want to look at lads and how people struggle with retirement, look at Mike Tyson at the minute. He's 53 years of age and he's come out of retirement.
Yeah.
There's a Vander Holyfield doing the same. So I think in terms of being switched on, when you're an athlete and you've got that competitive edge, I realised pretty quick that when I retired, that I needed to do something competitive. So, like Micky said, I went into boxing for 12 months. I had a couple of fights doing that. I loved it, to be honest. But it does get one of the hardest things is comparing yourself to when you was 21 years of age. So I go to the gym now. I'm 38. I'm 39 in a couple of months, and I'll compare myself to when I was 21, and I'll beat myself up and think, Jesus, I could do 10 chins there with 20k around me, but now I'm only doing 10 chins with no weight around me. And it's that constant competitiveness. I don't think you lose it, but it is tough at times. But you've just got to channel that competitive edge that you've got into something else, I think. What do you think about the Mike Tyson stuff? Seeing him on the internet.
What do I think? I think like he's old. It means old, doesn't he? But he still looks fucking class, doesn't he? Because his hands are unreal. I mean, people say he might fight Vander Holyfield, which I think will be good. Like, it's got to be an exhibition, and 6 rounds or whatever it is. Not going to be able to do the full distance, but I mean, I don't think he should do it. I think he should just stay retired and whatever. But if he goes on, I know I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, 100%.
There's
the other one in there, Eddie Hall and Bjornsson, is it?
Yeah, deadlift, trying to deadlift each other.
They're on about having a fight now, aren't they?
Are they?
Who's that?
Eddie Hall.
Oh yeah,
strong men.
See, that's a bit of a joke. That.
There's a clip
inside of our sport.
There's a clip on Instagram of that Bjornsson. Is it Bjornsson? Is that how you say it? Bjornsson on pads. He's so slow. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I wouldn't like to take a crack off him.
If one of them crack you.
If he catches you, you might be going down.
Oh, you're going down, aren't you? Yeah, the big lads, aren't they?
I think that's the thing as well. Like, you were seeing quite a bit of this. There's some YouTube stars at the minute who were like, putting it on boxing, and it is a little bit disrespectful because, training for the boxing and having a couple of fights, it's nothing to be, you know, to be laughed about. And, you know, at the end of the day, these strong men, if they're fighting each other, one crack and, you know, there's going to be some serious damage. So there's got to be some serious consideration at that weight if they're fighting.
Yeah, it can sometimes disrespect the sport a little bit. Like, for example, before I got to the UFC, Darren Till was obviously saying a lot on social media and stuff about I should be in the UFC. And he kind of put it on the fact that how can you have a WWE star in the UFC who's never had a fight in his life, and you've not got like Mike Grundy in the UFC kind of thing. And I can't remember the fighter's name. He had 1 or 2 fights and he got battered on both of them. He's out now, or he's not fighting anymore. But he was he only got in because he was a WWE star. He'd never had even an amateur fight, and he looked really bad when he got in. Like I say, I can't remember his name, but he was in UFC anyway before I was, you know. So it's just kind of embarrassing. It can embarrass the sport a little bit sometimes. The right people don't get their opportunity they deserve due to hard work and commitments and all that type of stuff, you know.
Yeah, there's an element of, especially with UFC, it's very show busy and, you know, an element of selling tickets. I get that aspect of it. But, you know, you've just said there, the Darren Till, he was absolutely put a massive campaign out there to get you in the UFC. And, you know, again, you know, reading about your career for a number of years now, Mike, it's always been a question of when we're going to see Mike Grundy into the UFC. So what did it feel like when you finally got that call?
Oh, yeah, there's a video out. They did a little bit of a documentary on me and they put that clip in. They managed to get it on video, but I was nearly in tears, when I got my contract. My coach, you know, he basically, what he did, Darren Till was getting ready to fight Tyrone Woodley, and we was all getting ready to fly out to Las Vegas to training camp at the FCPI Centre, and he kind of stood, the way he did it, he stood Darren up and said, right, Darren, tell everyone how much it means to you to get to this level and what it's took to get to this level and stuff like that. And then he kind of made Darren sit down and he made me stand up and he says, you know, he is somebody who deserves it more than anyone kind of thing. And, you know, he made me explain what it's took to get to the level where I'm at, and I've still not even got to a level where Darren is and stuff like that. And then he kind of just pulled out a UFC contract. You know, he says, have you made the UFC yet? I says, no, I've not. And he says, yeah, you have. You know, and he pulled out the contract, and that feeling, you know, there was still shivers goes down my spine, you know, because it's like I said, when I was younger and I always believed I was going to get to the Olympics, or I believed I was going to get a Commonwealth medal. And then when I got it, it's that feeling, and then same feeling when I got to UFC, really.
Awesome. What's the just touching on that as well, Mike? I watched your first fight, and although we're talking about you being a wrestler, you looked very, very comfortable in your stand-up, and your boxing skills looked, you know, absolutely outstanding. And you're fighting with Team Cabon. Is that something that, you know, that they've helped develop over a period of time, so you're not just known as a wrestler?
I mean, when you've got Darren Till, who was probably one of the hardest hitter in that division, cracking you in your nose every day, trust me, you're going to have to learn your boxing. Because he hits hard. Like he's like, I've sparred with a lot of people, obviously, and I've sparred with a lot of good guys, and he hits the hardest I've ever been against. I mean, he's heavier and what have you, but it's just the fact that he's so accurate all the time. He don't waste any shots. Every shot lands, and you know, he hits hard. So yeah, you can't really be in that camp without knowing how to strike. But the reason I did strike for that fight was because 2 weeks before I tore my hamstring, and it was a grade 2. It was a bad tear, like, but there was no way, obviously, I was pulling out that fight because it was my debut and it was the opportunity I've always been waiting for. So I tore my hamstring 2 weeks before, and I didn't wrestle up to the fight again. Then I just did some boxing. I stood on the spot, and then just before I went out, I was warming up with my teammate Terry Ettim, and I shot my first leg attack in 2 weeks, and I felt my hamstring. So as I was walking out, obviously you're going out for your debut, and you realise you took your A game away, my A game had gone. You know, my wrestling's gone. I thought, I'm going to have to just box. So I made him think I was going to wrestle a lot, and I caught him a lot with my hands. I think that still the wrestling played a big part in it, even though I couldn't take him down too much. I think just making him think I was going to take him down, he dropped his hands and I caught him with shots. But yeah, that's why I've struck a lot more in that fight.
Interesting, isn't it?
What was the reason you pulled out of the second one? Because obviously your second fight you was scheduled to have. It was publicised that you was injured there, but it didn't state what injured there, mate. What was that?
So again, it was probably about 2 to 3 weeks before. Again, I done my ribs in, which is the worst injury I've ever had. It's not the fact that it's painful; it's just the fact that you can't do anything.
No.
So it was annoying. So yeah, I was supposed to fight China against an unbeaten Russian guy. I was supposed to fight in China there, and I got a bad rib injury, and my coach said, "I'm not letting you fight." So I was gutted for that.
Shawn, on you, mate. Mike's just described what it felt like to put all that hard work in to get his UFC contract. What did it feel like for you to become the Wigan captain?
It was never kind of a goal really to be the captain of the club. I think as a kid you always want to play there, and as a Wigan lad, sporting Wigan, you want to represent the club. But it was never. I don't think it was ever a goal to be captain. I think once I come through the academy and I'd captained them side for a while, it was maybe it changed a little bit. But even at that point, it was still. It was just more about being a good player, getting better as a player, winning stuff, and.
Shawn,
yeah.
Just on that, I watched. You did an interview. I can't think when it was. It might have been last week before, and you just said you thought you had been like thrown into the captaincy a little bit early for you. What than expected. Like maybe for you early, but then you kind of said it probably made you to the captain and leader you are today. I thought it was a real good piece that you did. It's really interesting. Just want to touch on that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, yeah, I'd always been captain growing up, but I think when you get to a first team environment and you're involved with lads obviously what are older than you, blokes what are older than you, it's a completely different kettle of fish. And I think that the time 2006 I got made captain. I'd not played at all in 2005. I'd had a bad knee injury, so I pretty much missed the whole season. I think it was Ian Millwood had come in, he'd made us captain, and we'd lost a few senior lads as well. It was a bit of the team changed a little bit dynamics wise, and I'd been named captain. We had a bit of a shit year, but kind of a lot of pressure kind of fell on my shoulders a little bit, and I won't say I didn't handle it well, but I probably that going in doing it as your first time, that being your first opportunity to do it, and how kind of tough of a year it was. A tough couple of years really. Looking back, I probably weren't quite ready for it, but I do think having them tougher times probably kind of speed your development up a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably makes you handle stuff you probably weren't quite ready to handle, but you learn more from it. And I always say I definitely learn more from them first few years as a captain, kind of losing games than I have done winning games and winning competitions.
Shawn, have you always felt like there's always been a lot of pressure on you from a young age? Because I remember playing at under-12s Wigan Town team with you. You was a year younger than me, but you played a year above, and there's a lot of expectation on you then. Have you always felt that bit of a pressure? Because you come from a big rugby background as well. Because your family your dad played rugby, your brother played rugby, so you've come from a very predominant rugby family. Have you always felt that?
No, I don't think I have really. I won't say I ever felt pressure. I knew there was kind of. I was always a good player as a kid. I was a decent player coming through, but I wouldn't say I ever felt under pressure by it. I've always enjoyed playing. I enjoy playing the game. If you know what I mean. I'd say I've always played like with an enjoyment factor to it. As tougher games are and tough as training is, I enjoy that side of the game, and I've always enjoyed playing, and I still feel like I enjoy it now, like I did when I was a kid. So I knew there was a bit of expectation on my shoulders to kind of kick on and progress, but I wouldn't ever. I don't really feel I felt pressurised by it.
Yeah, even at a young age, though, Micky. Sorry, mate. Even at a young age, like I said, we played at Wigan Town team together, me and Shawn. Shawn was a year younger than us. And even then, Cliff Peters was saying, next Wigan captain this. You know, and Shawn was very, very quiet, shy lad then, weren't you, back in the day?
Yeah. I wasn't too like particularly loud about going. I was quite kind of kept myself to myself a little bit, especially when I was playing a year above with the older lads. You just keep your head down and just do what you're told. I think probably because like, my dad's been involved in the game and that, he always kept me quite level. He was like a lot of, when I was coming through, there was a lot of lads probably from 11, 12, 13 what were signing contracts at that time. And my dad was always quite adamant to me, you won't sign anything until you've left school, and I didn't. And I think probably after that, that's kind of the way most clubs went. They kind of adopted that style. But previously to that, lads were getting money at 13, 14 to sign at clubs. But yeah, I think my dad was a big factor in keeping me quite level-headed about all that stuff.
Mike, Shawn's talking about his dad there, and we've touched on you running Wigan Wrestling Club. With your dad there, has he had a massive influence on your career and some of the decisions you've made building up to this UFC experience?
Oh yeah, massively. You know, I mean, my dad was there through my career as a kid and whatever. I think what my dad did right with me really was he never forced me to go, but he always supported me to go. You know what I mean? You know, and I think that's massive as a parent. You know, I do same with my kids and whatever. But and Shawn touched on it there. How he says he enjoys it like when he was a kid. That's massive. That for mindset. I think, you know, you've got to have that element really when you're going out to play, because the pressure comes from you putting pressure on yourself really. But how he says that he has that enjoyment like when he was a kid. Because what I remember before I fight or before I go out and fight is I always think, why did I start this sport? It was because I enjoyed it, wasn't it? You know, and like when I was a kid, I didn't start it to become an Olympic champion. I didn't think when I was 6 years old, I'm going to become an Olympic champion. You know, I went because I enjoyed it and I enjoyed going to my mates and messing about and whatever. So I think what Shawn said there was bang on, but I try and keep that going with my kids as well. And my dad always did it with me, really. Just, you know, keep the enjoyment of it. And some days, you know, I'd say I don't want to go training or whatever. He'd not force me, but he'd try and, you know, persuade me a little bit, and that would be it. But he'd never say you have to go. Yeah. I think that's a big thing for parents.
I think you both mentioned it straight away, the enjoyment. I think it's like any message, isn't it, to young kids? You've got to work hard in life to get things, but I think you've got to enjoy what you're doing as well, haven't you? And it's certainly for me, and you guys you're all the same. You've not been going to work for 20 years. You've been doing something you love for 20 years, and to me, I was fortunate that I got paid to do something I loved. It were, you know, you had the odd day. It's funny you mentioned about like with your dad's. My dad was exactly the same. He'd never ever lie. Not one of them that forced me to go, shouted out. Because you know what parents were like back in the day on rugby? They were like, they almost kick off on touchlines, didn't they? It was unbelievable.
Parents.
We had like leaves for I don't know, witness tags, and it was like full on brawling at one stage. And remember once I said to me, Dad, I said, I don't want to play today, Dad. He went, well, if you don't play, that's fine. He said, just give your coach a ring and let him know you're not playing. I went, oh, fuck it, give me my boots then. I'm going to play. Just a subtle thing like that. He didn't give me a rollicking, or he just said, well, just give me a ring then. Tell me you're not playing today. And like, ended up getting my boots and getting it care and playing. It's great that you all touched on that about the enjoyment and again, because you see a lot of young kids certainly when I was a young lad, I was always small, and lads were getting signed for Wigan Warrington on this money, and I was like, you know what? I'm trying my best here. My dad, he just always said, don't worry about it. Just enjoy it. Just keep enjoying your rugby, and you never know what happens. I think it's a massive thing for young kids coming through, and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that you've all touched on something else there as well. That, you know, having that strong role model in you, you know, as a kid, and someone you look up to. You know, obviously you guys, you know, had your dad, you know, and mine was my granddad. My granddad was a massive rugby fan, and he used to love taking me down to all the games. But exactly the same thing, you know, never pressurised me into going, just wanted me to enjoy it. And I think for kids now in the development, if they've got that role model and the parent just encouraging them and not putting too much pressure on them, I think it's massive into the. Well, it's always been massive, but I think it's really important for the kids' development.
Yeah, 100%.
Just obviously we're just finalising up now. We're nearly done. both of you, I don't really want to answer it first. What is your aspirations and moving forward? You know, like so I'm not sure, Shawn, whether was this going to be your last season this season, or is it because of the situation now you might go into next year? I don't know. Some of you might get. Have you got like any planned time of retiring, and then have you got things in place obviously with the gym and coaching? And obviously, Shawn, you've got a few things going, and I'm sure Wigan will want you to stay on at Wigan after you finishes. What is it moving forward?
Man, it kind of I got a contract with a club probably 5 or 6 years ago now, just like an add-on to work whenever I did finish playing. So I've got 2 when I do finish, I've got 2 years on the coaching side of things, which is something I'm actually like looking forward to. I know retirement will be hard and stuff like that, but I think still being able to be involved in the game will be a positive thing. But for me, it'll probably be like starting again a little bit, even though it's rugby. You're starting at the bottom of the pile again a little bit. I'll probably slot in where the club want me to slot in, but it'll be probably starting over again, as in winning things again as a coach rather than a player, having an impact on some of the young lads kind of coming through, helping them develop, which is something I've enjoyed doing up to this point, and hopefully kind of be able to put even more hours into it once I've finished playing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Mike. I think on that, Shawn, what you're saying though, you know, starting from the bottom of the pile. I think one thing I found, and you might be the same, Micky, and we spoke about it last week. When you retire and you feel like you've given everything to sport, and then you've got to start again from the bottom, it's finding that, I don't know if it's motivation or a purpose, whatever you want to call it, to find that energy again to say, I've got to start again, you know, and give that same level of sacrifice and dedication to your new career as you did in rugby. Because it's a very challenging time when you're a rugby player. You've got to dedicate so much of your life. And then to have all that stripped away, because Shawn, you've achieved more than most people in rugby league, but all that just gets stripped away from you, and then you start again from the bottom. I think it's finding that purpose again, and find that drive within you, you know, to go again.
Yeah, 100%, and I think it's almost like it's something different in it. Your outlook as a player or a sports person is always that competitiveness, whereas you can be competitive as a coach, but you can't control a game. You can't have that outlook of playing in a game and your frustrations and all that kind of thing. But you've got to have ways of channeling that into almost making players better. What are then going to go out and kind of do that for you on your behalf. But yeah, I've been involved with the academy for a little bit over the past couple of years. Probably this year, not as much as previous years, but the last probably 4 or 5 years, it's been class seeing that some of the young lads what I'm playing with now, pretty much like Morgan Smithies, Ollie P. Like seeing them lads come through, having a little bit of chance to work with them as kind of 16, 17-year-old lads, and then seeing them kick on and then being on pitch on side of them. It's something I've took a good buzz out of that as well, and it's something different than the playing side of things.
Yeah, and me, I mean, my goal is still I want to be the UFC champion, you know, the featherweight champion, and I never ever doubt myself, you know, I do believe that will happen one day. I think with me, that's probably different, and I can probably have a little bit longer career compared to some of the fighters. I've had 13 fights now, and I've not took any damage really. Probably my last fight was the only time I took a decent crack, you know. So I think, you know, my career can be quite decent. But, you know, when I do retire, I'll fully concentrate on my gym, you know, and I'll fully concentrate on the kids that's coming through, really, who's going to fight themselves. You know, my son's 15. He wants to fight. He could be starting his amateur career next year. You know, I've got to get ready for a big wrestling match as well, because when my son turns 18, we decided that we're going to have a wrestling match. But it's when he was 9, we shook hands on it. We said, well, right, when you turn 18, I'll be 36, I think. We'll have a wrestling match. So
selling tickets, mate.
Yeah, we'll do tickets on it. There's quite a few media's on about it now as well, so they might be coming as well. But it'll be a good thing. We'll sell tickets, put it to charity or whatever.
You're not going to let him beat you. There's no way you're letting the lad beat you. You've got to.
No. Because I'll be looking for something competitive then, So no way. So like a Rocky comeback, when he comes back and he's about 60 odd or whatever it is.
His mum will fall out. Your missus will fall out.
Well, she's trying to push it to 21-year-old now. She says, no, he can't be 21. I says, Debbie's like, he's only 8 kilograms lighter than me now. He's 15. Imagine in 3 years' time, he's be like 10 kilograms heavier than me.
Only 3 or 4 tomahawk steaks, that, isn't it? He'll not be far off.
No way, not 21. That's too much, that. Odds are well in his favour.
Guys, I think that's brought us to an end. But it's been fantastic to touch on your careers and, listen to what your aspirations are for after rugby. And, real pleasure to have you on on our second episode. So, appreciate that.
Cheers, Micky. Thanks for having us, mate. Cheers, Micky.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on.
I said, obviously, you haven't got a bit of time at the moment, but, it's really appreciate you coming on. Again, considering how high profile you both are, 2 humble fellas, I've known Shawn. I've known you a long time, Shawn. I've had the privilege to play alongside you as well. You were my captain for a few years as well. So, I say I've never really met you personally, Mike, but it's, again, straight away, you can tell that we're all pretty similar lads and we all just kind of can chat and hit it off. It's really good and all down to earth. And again, thanks for your time and wish you all the best going forward, fellas. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, fellas.
Thanks, guys. And I'll just touch on again, guys. That, for those who are listening and they'd like to get involved in any sponsorship through your business and build relationships with the Micky and Woody Show, then please feel free to get in touch through our social media or email address. And thanks again for watching. Cheers, guys.